Hello everyone, welcome. This is Jumbo Commander with a brand new deck tech featuring Queen Marchesa. Let's take a look at this new Conspiracy 2 General for Commander. Oh man, let's see her, the new Conspiracy 2 General, Queen Marchesa. One red, white, black for a 3/3 human assassin. She's got death touch. She's got haste. And when she enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. Okay, we don't know what the monarch is. Actually, we do here. The monarch. At the beginning, your end step, draw a card. I think this is really funny that they forgot the of right in there, but it's at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. It's pretty good. That's some card draw on your commander. It's always good. Let's look at the second part. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, its controller becomes the monarch. Okay, that's not as good. Let's finish Marquesa. At the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent is the monarch, put a 1/1 black assassin creature token with death touch and haste onto the battlefield. All right, I see what's going on here. You play the queen, you become the monarch, you get to draw your card. Great, okay? But then chaos starts ensuing because everyone wants to be able to draw the card, so people start attacking you. Then you get your assassins that come into play that, well, are really hard to block. So you swing them in and start trying to take the monarchy back. I like this. It's very interesting. It's political, but I'm a little confused about what this deck is supposed to be. Like how to wrap your head around this strategy. Let's think about it together. So we have to ask ourselves, what kind of commander is Queen Marquesa? Okay, well, is she a token commander? Because she puts tokens onto the battlefield. No, not really. I mean, she doesn't put a lot of them onto the battlefield. She doesn't have particular token synergies. I mean, it's nice that she makes a token. I like that it gives you some value that you can get the monarch back, but I mean, I'd rather just draw the card. Well, maybe she's a card drawing engine, so she's kind of like a control commander. You know, you play, these are cool colors to be in. You play Marquesa and you keep drawing your card and you can draw out the game. That's pretty cool. But control players want to be ignored. They don't want to be attacked. And you certainly don't want to give up your card draw to someone else. That's not what you want as a control player. I mean, this monarch card or emblem, whatever it is a really bad howling mine. I mean, you can switch around from player to player to player, and yes, you can get your token and get the monarch back and still get your card, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna not be passed around all over the table. Control commander. Is it an aggro commander? I mean, because you're gonna be attacking. She's got death touch. She's got haste. She makes other stuff. Man, I'm a little bit disappointed if she's an aggro commander because I feel like we have a lot of aggro commanders in these colors. Well, I think that Marquesa is kind of like a political creature control commander, which is kind of a cool niche area because didn't really exist before. So you have this political aspect of the monarch, okay? You need creatures in order to move the monarch around and interact with your opponents, but you're not trying to really beat them down. I mean, it's a cool control strategy that you can take advantage of these cards. And even if you did want to make an aggro strategy, I don't want to. I have too many Boros and Mardu commanders that already just swing and attack. So I think I want to take a little different lean in this Queen Marquesa deck. Let's take a look at some of the components. Well, we said we needed creatures, but I don't want any creatures. I want cunning creatures. The first one, Archetype of Courage. Your guys got first strike, their guys can't. Hey, wait a second. Don't your guys have Death Touch and Haste? Yeah, they do. First Strike and Death Touch, great combo. Archetype of Courage is really fun. Also, what's good with Death Touch is Trample. I mean, you attack with your general, and she's got Death Touch and Trample. You can oftentimes just, like, keep trampling over and deal damage to your opponent and take back the monarchy. I like these archetypes. They're very fun. They're cheap. They're interactive. Great cards. Flesh Carver. 3 mana for a 2/2 Intimidate. It's got a sack outlet on it. Sacrifice another creature. Put 2+1/+1 counters on Flesh Carver. Flesh Carver dies. You get a big horror creature onto the battlefield. Okay. The Intimidate is nice because it's easy to hit other people, and we're going to find that there's a sacrifice theme in this deck. So Flesh Carver is a definite role player. Bastion Protector. This is another card that helps Marqueesa get in and just protect your commander in general. Commander creatures you control have +2/+2 and indestructible. Just good old-fashioned protection. Plus a 3 mana 3/3. Not bad. Eiley, Eternal Pilgrim. This deck is not truly devoted to Eiley, but remember how I mentioned the sacrifice outlet theme? Well, she's got a sacrifice outlet on her. And if you gain enough life, oh man, you can start mowing things down with her crazy ability. I also like that she has Death Touch because, again, it helps this Rattlesnake effect. This Death Touch helps your creatures get in and take back the monarchy, or helps them block really well too. Eiley not taken to full advantage, but still very cool. Shriekmaw. Shriekmaw kills a creature. It's easy. I mean, it has to be non-artifact and non-black, but then once it's on the battlefield, it has fear. And feared creatures get in and take back the monarchy very easily. Audric, Master Tactician. Well, if you attack with a lot of creatures, Audric says you can choose how attacks and blocks happen. Obviously, you're going to be able to hit your opponent with whatever you want, and you're going to make really favorable blocks. If you're going to into combat, Audric is a good person to have with you. Ankle Shanker. The goofy goblin berserker. Man, these goblins look like crazy-ass goblins. It's a 2/2 haste for 2 and then a Mardu, red, white, black. And when Ankle Shanker attacks, creatures you control gain first strike and death touch until end of turn. First strike and death touch is a wombo combo. Lets you get in pretty easily. Handwear Garrison can definitely force some damage through because it produces 2/1/1 human creatures when it attacks. But as long as you have Handwear Garrison, you might as well put in Handwear Battlements, which gives something haste, and then you can get the Writhing Township that has trample and haste and will get in. And I think these are fun cards, and they fit the aggressive theme, and they can get damage through to get that monarchy back. Urbrask, the Hidden. This serves 2 purposes. It keeps opponents from getting the monarchy from you because it taps their creatures as they enter the battlefield, and your creatures have haste. Very cool card. Thalia also will tap their creatures when they enter the battlefield, but also their non-basic lands as well, which is incredibly annoying. I like Thalia. Oh, Grave Titan. You have Death Touch and you're giant and you make zombies. He's just so good. You just got to include him. Oh, and Wormcoil Engine. He's good too, man. These Death Touchers are fantastic. And the ability to diversify your threats, either by making 2 2/2s or, dividing yourself into 2 worms, excellent cards. And of course, to go along with it, Sun Titan. It gets back a lot of those smaller creatures that I already mentioned, as well as things like Sacklands and things that were destroyed, artifacts. I mean, Sun Titan's great. I'm only missing Inferno Titan. I just think he doesn't quite fit as well. And our red requirements are a little bit lower in this deck. What else we got? Molten Primordial. Man, the Primordials are great. This is Molten Primordial and Sepulchral Primordial. The first one has haste and steals things. You're definitely going to get some damage through with that. The second one, well, it takes stuff out of your opponent's graveyards. Each opponent. Oh, man, I love that. Each opponent. This Primordial can just end games. I also like that it has Intimidate, so you can often get through with him and deal a little bit of damage. Karmic Guide. I wonder what's going to come right next to Karmic Guide. We'll wait on it. 3 white for a 2/2 flying protection from black Echo. But anyways, when Karmic Guide enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. We're going to have a lot of stuff dying. We're going to be doing creature combat. So Karmic Guide's going to be value, getting creatures back. And do you know what else gets creatures back? Revelark! It has a clause. It gets 2 creature cards back with power 2 or less from graveyard to the battlefield. So you can combine Revelark and Karmic Guide to just go blue, 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 and keep going back and forth, bouncing them over into the graveyard and back again. And if you have some shenanigans going on, you can do a lot of damage. But both of these cards just get great value because we're sacking creatures, we're dealing combat, and the more we can get our creatures back, the more sustain and damage we can have. Harvester of Souls, you need card draw, and red and white have really bad card draw. But black has got some good card draw, and Harvesters of Souls is a good example. Whenever another non-token creature dies, draw a card. Sweet. Things are going to be dying all the time, and I like drawing cards all the time too. Not to mention, Death Touch. Guy fights really well. Sidisi, Undead Vizier. Sidisi is great because she has Death Touch too. Man, there's so much Death Touch in this deck. I love it. But also, she sacrifices things. She can exploit a creature that is irrelevant or you no longer need, and then search your library for a card and put it in your hand. Any card, whatever you need. There are a few silver bullets in this deck, and Sidisi, I think, is one of your only tutors. I'm personally not going to run the other tutors because I like that this deck is focused around creatures. So a creature tutor fits in really well. Disciple of Bolas, we need that card draw and we need that sacrifice. And so Disciple of Bolas just gets both because when he comes in the battlefield, you sacrifice another creature, gain X life, draw X cards, where X is the creature's power. Grim Horospex. Whenever another non-token creature dies, draw a card. Just like that other creature we were just talking about, things are going to be dying, you're going to be drawing cards. So these are obviously not creatures, they're lands, but they definitely help out with your creature combat, especially with your general. And they don't come into the battlefield tapped. Very cool. They just add red and target legendary creature gains first strike. Let's think back to Marqueesa. I know she has haste and she has death touch. Oh, and this just gives her first strike. That's the combo. Sweet. I mean, that makes her really hard to block. That's good. Do you know what makes her even harder to block? She's Death Storehouse. Target legendary creature gains fear. I mean, I know she's like 3 colors. Oh, no. That's Intimidate. Fear is only black and artifact creatures. Man, this land is good. So definitely these 2 lands have a place. What about the white one? Yeah, it's fine. If you got it, you can put it in. Prevent the next 2 damage that would be dealt to target legendary creature this turn. Preventing a little damage can definitely help. And there's not a real downside. These do come into play untapped. Gideon Jura. 3 white for 6 loyalty planeswalker. You can +2, and during target opponent's next turn, creatures that player controls attacks Gideon Jura Fable. Wait a second. The monarchy requires them to attack you, and if they're busy attacking Gideon, well, then you're going to be able to shut down 1 full opponent, so they can't get the monarchy back from you. Oh, I love it. Gideon also goes in and just gacks a creature. Destroy target tapped creature. I love it. And then he's also great at battling. He turns into a 6/6 indestructible. No, he's not indestructible. 6/6 soldier, and then you prevent all damage that would be dealt to him. So he definitely is good at getting in and dealing some damage. Elspeth Knight Errant. She doesn't get in like Gideon does, but she definitely helps people because she can go up and give a creature +3/+3 and flying. Make something huge and evasive. Or you can +1 and put a white soldier token. That's an easy blocker. It's some good defenses. And if you get to the emblem, I think you just win the game. So we talked a lot about the creatures and all this attacking that we're going to be doing, but this is a political creature control deck. I mean, I know we're going to be doing a lot of attacking, but really we want to control the board. And when I'm thinking about Marqueesa, I'm thinking about all the political and conniving and the government of royalty and all this stuff. And so I thought, well, what's really fitting is this sort of taxing theme. And I really love this play style, this incremental advantage, this tax here and there. And so I wanted to explore what it would look like in Mardu colors. Let's take a look at some of those taxing Cards, it's Kaya Ghost Assassin. She's brand new. She's from Conspiracy 2 as well. So she really belongs in this deck. Thematically, and actually she adds a lot to the gameplay as well. 2 white black for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. She has no tick up ability. Wow. She does have a 0 ability. Exile Kaya Ghost Assassin or up to 1 target creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of your next upkeep. You lose 2 life. Okay, this is cool. She can reset herself back to 5 loyalty and she can't be attacked when she's resetting herself. You can get your own effects from your own creatures that enter the battlefield effects, or you can get a blocker out of the way by exiling an opponent's creature. I like Kaya's 0 ability. Let's look at the -1. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. I like that too. This is all about taxing, and so if you just drain the whole board for 2 and you gain 2, I mean, that's a huge swing, and it's these little life swings that make this deck operate. -2, each opponent discards a card and you draw a card. Again, this sort of taxing effect. I love it. Kaya deserves her spot in here. So what comes next to Kaya? Well, the one artifact ramp that I have in this video. Obviously, you should have tons of sources of ramp. The color requirements for this deck are ridiculous. I have white, 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 and black, 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 and red, 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 all across this deck. So the mana requirements suck. You definitely need to do some fixing there. But I like Cryptolith Fragment specifically because each player loses a life when you tap it. So it's this slow tax of everyone being drained slowly throughout the game as you keep tapping things away. I really don't expect Cryptolith Fragment to flip, so I didn't include the other side, but I like the idea of draining, and I also wanted to mention the very serious mana requirements. Mogis, God of Slaughter. Another taxing effect. 4 mana for a legendary enchantment creature god. He's indestructible. But really what it is, at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, Mogis deals 2 damage to that player unless he or she sacrifices a creature. Okay, so this is a creature control deck. So we want them to sacrifice creatures because we want to attack them with ours. But also, we'd be fine with just a slow drain of like 2 damage, 2 damage, 2 damage. So Mogis gets that done. Athreos, God of Passage. 1 white black for another god. And this one says whenever another creature you own dies, return it to your hand unless target opponent pays 3 life. I love Athreos. So again, I mentioned a lot of things are going to be dying. We're going to have a lot of creature combat, and we're going to be slowly draining and taxing our opponent. And so if you focus on one opponent, you can get them pretty low, and then they have to give you your creatures back. Or you politically make some deals with another opponent, and they'll just give you your creatures back because you're really not going to affect them very much, and you make a deal. I like Athreos a lot, and I think that these 2 gods are very cool and fun to work together. And this is one of the only decks that really had them working well together. A lot of other Mardu generals didn't allow them to play. And so I'm glad that I can fit both of them in the deck now. Falconwrath Noble, Blood Artist, and Zulaport Cutthroat. I mentioned all these things dying, and I mentioned the drain of the taxes, and all these creatures have a similar effect. When creatures die, you lose 1 life, and I gain 1 life. Falconwrath Noble says another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and gain 1 life. Blood Artist says the same thing, just another creature dies. Zulaport Cutthroat, it has to be your creature that dies, but it does it to each opponent. Okay, all of these are very critical, and we're going to be draining our opponents like crazy. I love it. We have a quandary here, and it's particularly painful. Whenever you cast a spell, no. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless he or she discards a card. People hate discarding cards, and eventually you run out. So it's just like every spell you play, you gotta pay 5 life. It's again this tax, and they end up feeling it toward the end of the game. I love this quandary. Polluted Bonds. 3 black. Whenever a land comes into play under an opponent's control, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. I like how it comes into play because people do crazy shenanigans with lands. they're putting lands in all over the place, and I'm a big offender of that. I love putting lands into play and ramping all over the place, but this actually punishes them a little bit. I like polluted bonds a lot. Another honorable mention goes out to Zozu the Punisher. He's another good one. He's also a creature too, which is really cool. So he can do some damage when lands come into play, and he can get into some combat action. But he punishes yourself. So I don't know. See what you like. The taxes keep coming. One of my favorite cards, Blind Obedience. 1 and a white for an enchantment. It has Extort. Let's talk a little bit about Extort because it is great in these multiplayer games, and it's another really cool tax effect. So Extort says whenever you play any spell, you can play either a white or a black, and each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain that much life. So in a 4-player game, you drain your 3 opponents, and you'll gain 3 life. That's a big life swing. If you're in a bigger game, then the impact is going to be even larger. Another thing to note that the black-white is in the reminder text, so Blind Obedience can go in a mono-white deck if you'd like. It also, that's just the Extort ability. It actually has another part. Artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Remember we talked about that tempo we get with Thalia and Urbrask, and so we have just another effect slowing down your opponents, taxing their resources, and giving you some incremental advantage. Man, I love Extort so much I put in Pontiff of Blight. I find that Pontiff of Blight, he just gets cut from my decks too often. But not this deck because it's a control deck that has a lot of creatures in it. It's the perfect spot for Pontiff of Blight. I might have made this deck just for Pontiff of Blight. I might have also put in Revelark just to get Pontiff of Blight back. No, anyways. He has Extort, and he gives every other creature you have Extort. So you could play like a 3-mana spell and just be like, Extort, 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 Extort with all your other creatures. I love it. He also blocks really well. Sanguine Bond. So this card would be really good. I talked about all the life we'd be gaining, like we're draining our opponents, we're gaining a little bit of life here and there. And then whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. That sounds really good. There's a big problem with that. No one ever believes you're playing Sanguine Bond unless you're also playing Exquisite Blood. Well, actually, Exquisite Blood sounds like a good card to have in your deck too. Whenever opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Again, it's all about the taxes. You want to deal some damage with your creatures. You want to, get the monarchy back. And so if you gain a little bit of life here and there, that sounds like it could be a really good card. No. I'm not going to include these in my deck. Whenever people see them, they just know the combo's there, and they just go after you like crazy. So this is part of a political decision. If you want to include these in the deck, man, I'd say go for it, because they are kick-ass. One of the reasons why I pay such close attention to it is that this is an infinite combo. Sanguine Bond says whenever you gain life, they lose life, and then Exquisite Blood says, well, then they lose life, so you gain life, and then Sanguine Bond says, well, you gain life, so they lose life, and all you have to do is start it once, and it just balloons out of control, and you win the game. I don't know if you want to win the game with just 2 enchantments, especially when this deck is so sweet. I think it'd be cool to tax your opponent out, not just combo them out. Kakusha, the Evening Star. He's a dragon that drains the board for 5. When this dragon dies, each opponent loses 5 life, and then you gain that much life. So again, 4-player game, 1 player loses 5, loses 5, loses 5, you gain 15. Huge life swing. Vildarin Pariah. This doesn't match with Kakusho very well, but man is it good. It's a sack outlet because it says sacrifice 3 other creatures and then transform the Pariah. All right, well, let's see what happens when you sacrifice creatures. Don't get me wrong. I like sacrificing creatures. I want to sacrifice creatures and do all this damage and, get Kakusho to gain me 15. Let's take a look at what happens. So when she transforms, she becomes the Abolisher of Bloodlines, and target opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. I would much rather have it that every opponent sacrifices 3 creatures, but target opponent's pretty cool too. I think it's a little bit political that you can go after the monarch and say, no, you lose 3 creatures. And then you go in and you steal the monarch back from that opponent. It's a very cool card, and we'll see how it does. I mean, it's pretty new, and I hope it performs well. Butcher of Malakir. This is a way better vampire than that Abolisher of Bloodlines because it just says when it dies or another creature dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. He's got evasion, he's powerful, he is expensive in mana cost. I mean, 7 mana to put out this vampire, but he has a big effect on the board. If things are dying, you better just have Dictate of Erebos. I mean, Grave Pact too if you want to go that route, but Dictate is pretty good. You can flash it in, and whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Same effect on the Butcher of Malakir, just on a flash enchantment. I like it a lot. I also like the mana requirements. Grave Pact is 1 mana less, but it's 1 black, black, black. These mana requirements in this deck are crazy as is, so we'll try and avoid adding even more stress to the system. Palace Siege. Again, more taxation. You can pick dragons, and then each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. That's pretty cool. But let's not forget the underused Khans ability. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. You just keep getting creatures back. So if you have this cycle of creatures dying, you can just get another creature back every turn. So Palace Siege is like, draw a card. Basically, it's just draw a creature card because you're assured to have creatures in your graveyard. Or just drain your opponents. I like this card a lot, and it's pretty inexpensive. Oversold Cemetery. Things are going to be going to your graveyard, so with this enchantment, 1 and a black, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. You're going to have more than 4 creature cards in your graveyard. So this is another ability that just lets you draw a card from your graveyard, a creature card from your graveyard every single turn. Very cool. Let's take a look at a few more taxing effects. I'm going to make some rules here, and one of the rules is that you can't tutor. Your opponents can't search libraries, man. They're fetch lands, they're tutors, none of them work, and I love it. I mean, we're not running very many, and so, you know what? If we can't do it, neither can you. And then if an opponent would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. I like that too. It's good protection. It just kind of depends on your meta. Some metas go crazy with the extra turns. They keep them in check a little bit, so maybe I'll leave Stranglehold out of my own deck. But I'm for sure going to be using Aven Mind Sensor. It's a Flash Flying Bird for 2 and a white. It's a 2/1, and if an opponent would search a library, that player searches the top 4 cards of that library instead. I love this with fetch lands. It's like, okay, I'm going to fetch, and you're like, whew, Mind Sensor flash in. It's great. I love it because they're like, oh, please, please, please. And they go for the top 4 cards of their library. And then they let out that breath like, when they whiff. They're a mana behind. Even Mind Sensor is great. It also has evasion, so it can get you the monarchy back. Defenses. This is a control deck. You need to defend yourself. And I'd like to defend myself with some creatures, with some rattlesnakes. And what better card to start off with than an actual rattlesnake? Ophiomancer, 2 and a black for 2/2, and it makes a snake. And if your snake dies, you get another snake. With discard outlet, not discard outlets, with sack outlets, Ophiomancer can be very powerful. Just, get another snake, get another snake, get another snake on every single upkeep. It's also got Death Touch, the snakes, so I like that. Academy Rector. We mentioned a lot of powerful enchantments earlier on, and, there's going to be some even more powerful enchantments in this defensive section. So Academy Rector dying and you getting any enchantment onto the battlefield, people are not going to want to attack into you, so you're going to hold on to that monarchy. When someone does attack you, you will show them no mercy. With this enchantment called No Mercy. 2 black, whenever a creature successfully deals damage to you, destroy it. So if people are trying to get the monarch back from you, like, they're attacking you so that they can draw their cards, well, if you have No Mercy out, they're not going to have their creature anymore. So there's a definite threat for them doing any damage to you. good defenses in a control deck. Teysa, Envoy of Ghosts. Another pretty expensive card, 5 white black for a 4/4, but vigilance, protection from creatures. Oh my gosh. So Teysa blocks really well and actually attacks very well. No one can block her. And then whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, destroy that creature, put a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token flying on the battlefield. So these 1/1s are also good at attacking, and it's the same kind of Rattlesnake ability that No Mercy had. People aren't going to want to attack you, and if they do, they're just going to lose their board. Oh, Teysa and No Mercy are perfect for this deck. Darien, King of Keldor. I like that he's the king, and we do have Queen Marchesa. I like that a lot. 4 white for a 3/3. Whenever you're dealt damage, you may put that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens into play. So if someone hits you for 7, you get 7 1/1 white soldier tokens. This guy can go crazy on the board. He's a very cool commander of his own deck. I don't have that deck, and so I think I might play with Darien. I think he's pretty cool and pretty flavorful. Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs. Well, if someone wants to attack you, when you have this legendary ogre warrior, it's a 5/4, they're going to have to pay 3 for each creature attacking you, or else you're going to get a 3/3 ogre creature token. So basically, if someone attacks you, they pay 3 or you get 3 3s. No one's going to want to pay 3. You're just not going to get attacked, or you're just going to get free 3 3s out of the deal that you're going to be able to swing back at your opponent with. Kazul's awesome. Glacial Chasm. This is a very cool land. It's very underrated. In fact, this is one of the lands on my top 10 underrated lands in Commander. Oh my gosh, I spoiled the list for you. I'm sorry, but I won't tell you where it is. Anyways, Glacial Chasm is great, but it doesn't tap for any mana. Oh, that sucks. It also has a cumulative upkeep of 2 life. And you have to sacrifice a land when it enters the battlefield, and creatures you control can't attack. But you are basically invulnerable. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you. I'm not going to play this land in this deck. I want my creatures to be doing a lot of the combat and a lot of the defenses, but I definitely thought this land should be mentioned because it's very easy to drop it and then sit behind your defenses and then keep drawing cards and building up advantages. Maze of Ith, on the other hand, is great. With all the creature combat, you're going to want Maze of Ith to be able to save some of your creatures. So imagine 2 scenarios. Guy attacks you, you Maze of Ith, you keep your monarchy. Awesome. Another scenario, you're trying to get the monarch back from someone else, and you attack in. You can Maze of Ith your own creature, getting it out of an unfavorable combat while letting your other creatures go through. Maze of Ith is an all-star. Ghostly Prison, Archangel of Tides, and Windborne Muse. They all tax your opponents for attacking you. People hate paying mana to attack you, and sometimes they just can't afford it. So if you have a blocker and some taxation, well, people aren't going to want to attack you, and you're going to keep your monarch. Archangel of Tides is great too, because when it ends up attacking, it has evasion, and it makes it harder for your opponents to block, because they're going to have to pay 1 to block your attacking creatures. So there's Moat and Magus of the Moat. They're super expensive, and I have a lot of ground creatures. I think I want to be more creature combat based, not so defensive, so I'm actually not going to include these. I'm also not going to include Island Sanctuary. Basically, you don't get to draw your card, and then people can't attack you unless they have Flying or Island Walk. Again, I have too many creatures that are on the ground. I have, ankle shankers and cool cards like that I want to attack with. So I'm not going to use any of these cards. But what I am going to use is Delaying Shield. First off, look at that art. I like it a lot. She's like, oh, and like all the arrows are in it. 3 and a white for an enchantment. If you would be dealt damage, put that many delay counters on Delaying Shield instead. So you're not dealt damage. So you're going to keep the monarchy if you have Delaying Shield out. People aren't going to deal damage to you. Now you are going to take damage later on, At the beginning of your upkeep, remove all delay counters from Delaying Shield. For each delay counter removed this way, you lose 1 life unless you pay 1 and a white. So you can start tapping a bunch of mana at a really poor time in your turn to save this life from the damage that you took. But you're not losing Marchesa's cool ability. You're not losing the Monarchy. So Delaying Shield does a really good job of controlling the board and giving you an option to get rid of some of the damage you took. Michiko Kanda, Truth Seeker. 3 and a white for a 2/2. Whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to you, that player sacrifices a permanent. I like that it's a source opponent controls. I don't like that it sacrifices any permanent, but it definitely is a good impersonation of some of those other abilities that we were mentioning. And Dread, 3 black for a 6/6 Fear. Whenever a creature deals damage to you, destroy it. I like that. It's this same effect we were talking about before. It punishes your opponents for attacking you. We want to make sure we have no mercy for our opponents. I do want to mention that it's black. Again, very prohibitive mana costs in this deck, but Dread has Fear, so he attacks really well too. A little bit more defense. Elspeth Sun's Champion. Ticker up, 3 white soldiers. Ticker down, destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater. You might notice that we actually had a lot of smaller creatures in this deck, so Elspeth Sun's Champion might let our creatures dodge her board wipe. And the emblem's great. Martial Coup, again, sometimes we'll need to wipe the board, and if we have some creatures on the battlefield, we can do some creature combat to get back the Monarchy. Phyrexian Rebirth, wipe the board, leave something behind, get back the Monarchy. What's your end game? So we're talking about taxing, and sometimes that can win the game, but you do need a few key finishers to make sure that, well, you can win. Exsanguinate. Each opponent loses X life, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. It's only X black. So pretty good card, especially when we're trying to bring down the table all at once, with little extorts here and taxes there and a little life loss and a little life gain. Exsanguinate matches really well with our strategy. Unfortunately, it's really good, and a lot of people use it over and over again to win games of Commander, so it's not as interesting of a win condition. We also have Debt to the Deathless, X, white, black. Horrible mana requirements, but each opponent loses 2 times X life, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. So if you have enough mana, you can just destroy people with Debt to the Deathless. Also, if we're running sorceries that are our win conditions, I might suggest Beseiju Who Shelters All, which allows these spells to be uncounterable. I also want to say that this cow is like not even looking at the battle plans. He's like staring me down like in my soul as I'm making this video. It's a freaky cow. Rise of the Dark Realms. 9 mana, put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control. Rise of the Dark Realms is crazy. You're going to have a lot of your own creatures in the graveyard, not to mention grabbing your opponent's creatures and just winning the game. But Insurrection lets you win the game a little bit faster. Untap all creatures, gain control of all of them, and you get to send them off back at their opponents. Insurrection kills people. It does cost 5, red. Again, horrible mana, but Insurrection is a fun and pretty sure way of finishing out a game. Now, I mentioned that this was going to be a political creature control deck, and I totally think it is. It's going to have a lot of politics because this commander has the Monarch. It has card draw based on creature combat. I mean, usually creature combat, well, it kind of sucks. I mean, you're just attacking in maybe the person with the most life. Even worse, you like roll a die to see who you're going to attack. No. Now there's something a little bit more at stake. Card draw. plus the honor of being the monarch. I can see awesome situations of letting opponents hit you and then, maybe poking them back a little bit to exchange some card draw. Teaming up against others. Now, this is also very interesting because you're going to have to play a lot of politics because you're taxing everyone kind of equally. When you extort, you have to extort everyone. And when your tax effects go off, you're going to influence everyone. So you're kind of like an evil government agent because you're like imposing these horrible restrictions and taxes on everyone, but still trying to like make friends out, even though you're slowly draining them. Uh, I like Marqueesa. She's a excellent conniving queen, and I think that she's a very fitting commander for this type of deck. Now, I also wanted to pay a tiny note to some other builds for this kind of Marqueesa deck. You could totally go equipments, okay? Equipments on Marqueesa and her guys are great. The swords, they give evasion. You could put a Sun Forger in here. I mean, giving her trample is wonderful. So an equipment package can definitely go in. And equipment helps a lot when you need to deal with creature combat. Another strategy that I almost went for was vampires. You'll actually notice there's a lot of vampires in this deck already. But I found a lot more. Ones that drain, ones that tax, ones that attack really well. Vampires are really cool. I might take another stab, if you guys want me to, at making a vampire-based Marqueesa deck. This one gives all of them first strike, and, it's going to be really great for attacking. This one drains like the other two vampires that drain. I mean, Vampire Tribal could have been really cool, but it's more like the colors match really well, and there's a little bit of incidental card draw. It didn't feel like it matched Marquesa's true personality. I mentioned a control aspect of the deck too, and this could go a little bit more creature-less control, a lot more spells. I mean, what I described really doesn't have a lot of spells. It has creatures and some enchantments, but you can definitely cast some awesome spells. I mean, I might just include Crackling Doom anyways. I think it's really, really cool. I like that it hits each opponent and they have to sacrifice their biggest creature. I mean, Merciless Eviction is a great card. This color combination hasn't had a really good control general, and so I think you could play a lot more spells and make a really cool control deck. Also, if you have Crackling Doom, you should have Sun Forger. You just get to Path to Exile things and Boros Charm things. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, that's the deck. So what do you guys think? I think Queen Marqueesa is awesome. I also think that the card art is amazing. I mean, the way that she's dressed, the crown that very clearly looks like Brago's crown, and this imperious expression on her face. I think that she's very cool, and I'm super excited for Conspiracy 2. All of the amazing cards and the cool gameplay for Limited. All right, everyone, let's wrap this up. This is Jumbo Commander with a Queen Marqueesa deck tech. I want to thank you all so much for watching. This is a long one, and I'm glad that you stayed through to the very end. I really encourage you guys, watch more. Like my videos. Think about subscribing. Hey, comment. I'll write you back. If you want to shoot me an email, jumbocommander, that's the name of the channel, @gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you guys, and hopefully you're out there brewing your own Marqueesa deck.